Alright guys, let's hop into it. What are the best dungeons to farm for not only XP, but getting legendary drops? So with the most recent update, obviously everyone was making YouTube guides and videos talking about what is the best dungeon. Now I did see several that I was following from different content creators saying that this is the best dungeon. No, this is the best dungeon. I went ahead and ran the most popular ones that I was seeing over on my YouTube feed to find out which one is actually going to be the best. And the results kind of come down to most of the dungeons are kind of averaged out now, meaning that we're trying to average them all out anyways, because this was part of the original nerf, is to make sure that all the dungeons are kind of equal, because there were some that were a little bit better. And while there are some that are better, there are 4 dungeons in particular that I will be highlighting in this video, and you can decide which one is maybe the best for you, because depending on the class that you're playing as well as your defenses, some of these may be better than others. So starting right off, I'll give you guys the raw numbers, but let me go and show you guys where they are located. So the first one that we're going to be talking about is Iron Hold. So it's located in the bottom right side of the map, and it's really close to the waypoint, which is another benefit. Now, going over the times over here in terms of like the raw stats, this is not just done once, we're doing it multiple times, so this is the average, okay? Now, one thing that's nice with Iron Hold, it is pretty close to the waypoint, and it is relatively easy. However, there are a lot of like doors in different areas where if you're playing a sorceress, you will be able to teleport through, and this gives you a huge advantage versus playing other characters that may lack mobility, specifically the Necromancer. But anyways, here's my results. So as far as Iron Hold goes, the average time was about 4 minutes and 50 seconds. The average XP was a little bit over 500,000. And the legendary drop rate is about less than 1 legendary per run. I was also testing out the bosses, as this does technically add some time to all of them, but I was doing most of the bosses. Sirocco is kind of an exception where it doesn't really have one that you want to go for. But if they were right next to the objective, like I was already finished with the map, I would do the boss. But it does add a little bit more time. Some people were saying that with the nerfs of the elites, the boss is a little bit better. I haven't had any results that really indicate that the boss is dropping more legendaries, so to speak, or unique items is kind of the thing that some people are talking about. So at the end of the day, this is the results for Iron Hold. Now, unless you're playing the sorceress, I would say this one, it does look like it has a lot of density in terms of one room. There's like one room that you'll open up and there's a bunch of elites, but on average, it's not going to be that insane. The next area that I actually want to talk about is actually called the Blind Burrows. Now, I do have to say with this waypoint in general, because sometimes you'll DC, whatever happens in the game, you have to like reset your game. This area is kind of far away from a lot of the different waypoints, but there is a combo that you can do with this area. One thing I do got to mention with Blind Burrows, which you're seeing in the gameplay in the background here, is there is a lot of poison damage. This can actually get you killed quite easily. So in terms of doing Blind Burrows, this is my results, but I do got to go ahead and mention that there are 2 things that apply to this dungeon that are negative. One, the poison damage, which is actually something that applies to Sirocco as well because of the monster type over here, which are like the maggots, spiders, and the guys that do explode over here, the web walker, and it can be a little bit more difficult than other dungeons, and it's also further away. But here's my results for Burrows. So average XP is actually much higher, and it's faster than the previous one. The legendary drop rate was about the same, so it's basically 4 minutes, so a little bit faster, and it's got more XP than the previous run. Again, keep in mind, just as a heads up, I got to add a little bit of a rule to, all of this data that I'm providing for you guys. I was picking up all of the shrines that did exist, but I was not doing all of the little events that would happen, because that would add a lot more time, and people just kind of want to get in and get out, and I did not kill every single enemy that I saw on screen. However, if there was an elite pack, obviously we're going to take down the elite pack. That's kind of what you want to do. A lot of people always ask, what's the best way to get legendaries? Honestly, doing elites are going to be kind of the go-to, as there's probably a higher drop pool from them. However, you're killing so many small monsters, sometimes people feel like, well, small monsters drop legendaries more often. It's just because you're simply just killing more, but the drop rate on the elite packs is just going to be more than likely a little bit higher. So that's my results for Blind Burrows. The next one that I want to talk about in here is the location is going to be Sirocco. So let's go ahead and move to some Sirocco gameplay. Okay, so it looks like we're going over here. Okay, so here's Sirocco. So I was doing this and I have like a very long amount of footage, and then obviously I'm not going to just play the whole footage, but if you want to go check out some of my gameplay, it's on the Twitch. Some of them, most of them were streamed, but sometimes we do play off stream. But for the most part, yeah, we're doing this multiple times. So this is where Sirocco is located. It's not too far away from the Durandai waypoint, so it's okay. Again, Blind Burrows is kind of the one that's kind of far away. Now, there is an exception to this area as well. This area also has the spiders, so poison can become a thing. You can see some of my HP is dropping to like a half. If I'm doing Eridu or Iron, I'm not worried about the poison damage at all. So this kind of comes down to like your defenses as well, because if you're dying, if you die even once on any of these dungeons, specifically any of the ones that have poison, I would kind of watch out and be like, you know, maybe that one's not going to be a good option. But here are my results from Sirocco Caverns. The average time was 3 minutes and 16 seconds and almost 500,000. And on average, I'm getting about 1 legendary per run. There's not really a boss that I'm doing here. I'm kind of skipping that out on. And with Eridu, you can also skip out on the boss. But again, I was doing some testing, so I was actually killing the boss on like Eridu as well as like some of the other ones. But at the end of the day, this one seems to be actually really good. You can see the time is relatively fast, but again, the location's kind of far. So in terms of the next area, which is going to be actually doing the Eridu, which was one of the most popular ones, which was the best one. So you just go to various, and you just go to the left, and this is the ruins of Eridu, so that's the location of it. So this area is one of the best still, honestly, even after the nerfs. Here's my results. So the time spent in here was relatively same as Sirocco if like I was to compare them. You get a little bit more XP, just barely a little bit more time, but the average legendary drop rate on Eridu was just a little bit better than the previous ones. So I would say on average, since I got 1.5 legendaries, and again, your results may vary. I mean, I've had runs sometimes where I'm getting 3 per like just one zone, and there's sometimes where I get 0, right? So in terms of legendaries, the whole goal of the most recent nerf is to basically bring everything down to its average, regardless of which run you are doing. So the real question comes down to which one it will maybe be the best for you in terms of your playstyle and how you want to actually traverse the map. So I was mentioning that the Iron Hold has a lot of these like doors, and that slows you down, and it doesn't feel good, especially for certain builds. Like you're playing Whirlwind Barb and you have to like stop to open up a door, or any destructible that, you know, has some sort of like body block can become a problem for certain builds where it isn't a problem for others. But I really don't like Iron Hold specifically for this reason. So for most classes, I would stay far away from. If you are playing, however, the Rogue, there is Shadow Step, which lets you go through walls. So if you're enjoying this, okay, at the end of the day, if you're enjoying Iron Hold, hey, by all means, go ahead and play the map that you enjoy the most. But I would stay away from this, again, if you are playing Necromancer. It's just like the doors and the way you traverse. I would say Iron Hold probably not the greatest. But I also had this little sheet over here that had like kind of a conclusion to my testing. So in terms of raw XP, Sirocco and Eridu were kind of the best. And then for legendaries, Eridu was just a little bit better than others. Again, when we're talking about legendaries, like, because one of the runs I got 3, and that kind of skews some of the data, I'll be honest. But hey, that's just raw stats here. There are some exceptions to the rule. Now, if you don't want to leave the game, because you know how you pop your elixirs, you can pop your incense, so you get those bonus stats, and getting extra crit chance and crit multiplier or crit damage is going to kill the monsters faster, so you're going to be faster. Burrow and Eridu, in terms of on the map, they are very close to each other. You can see Ruins is over here, and then we have Burrows. So Burrows and Eridu, since they're so close, you can do one right here. You can see where my mouse is. We can do one right here and then go to the top, and we don't actually have to reset. So if you want to do combo and like you don't want to go to an area, then have to leave the game, you leave dungeon and then you exit the game, that combo will probably be one of the best combos, and you still get that 5% XP bonus, as again, most of the areas are supposed to be averaged about 500,000-ish, right? But Burrows and Sirocco's hit hard for poison damage, so if you can't survive, that was like my little like note here, that I would stay away from those, because that did cause some problems. There was a few times where we got pretty low on HP because of damage over time. So that said, those are all the notes and the best dungeons in my personal opinion, but I would love to know if you guys have any other dungeons that were super good, but these are just the ones that I want to test out, and for my testing, those are my results. But anyways, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Have some fun farming, and tell me your results, or if you found a new dungeon, I would love to know down below as well. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe if you're new and you want to see more up-to-date Diablo 4 content. Peace out.